an honor board?
Why don't you ask her? She's on it.
It's a committee of students and teachers that handle disciplinary matters.
Sounds like a committee of narcs and rats that handle snitching matters.
I'm not a rat, okay? It just looks really good on your college applications.
Nerd alert, man.
Yeah, nerd.
Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I know I gotta go in front of the stupid honor board with Larry Flint here.
This is not a joke.
I am not joking. I don't want to do this.
Right, if I rat out my teammates, they'll destroy me, and if I don't, Principal Gibbons will just crap all over my future.
Guys, we don't snitch. That's it. End of story.
He's not gonna snitch. He's just gonna tell the truth.
Will you listen to yourself? Just tell the truth. Let me tell you a little story about a guy I grew up with who just told the truth. Brendan Carthus. He was very good looking, but he got pinched with a whole back seat filled with bootleg poison tapes. Cops offered him a deal. He took it. Then he wound up a few days later in the back of a garbage truck getting crushed until his guts shot out of his butt like a tube of toothpaste.
Oh, no. Come on, Benito. We go now.
No, he should hear this.
Ah,
Ben,
no.
you snitch, you die.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the show. It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
It's so funny.
Thank you so much.
And it's such a weird show to have on a major network.
So
it's so
weird.
dark and funny, and it's got the brilliant Caitlin Olsen, who
the best.
I'm a diehard Always Sunny fan, so it's great to
too.
see her. Take me back to the beginning. What was it like getting cast in this? Were you aware of Caitlin and It's Always Sunny? And
Yes, Sunny is one of my favorite comedies. I think it's just she's just been one of the funniest people on TV for a decade, and I think
Decade, isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
That show's been on for like 12 or 13
12
years.
seasons.
And 12 solid seasons.
By the way, the first episode of this new season is my favorite so far.
It's-
The gang gets black.
The gang turns black.
Turns black.
I thought it was not only one of the funniest episodes of that show ever, but also one of the greatest commentaries on race relations a TV comedy has
They
ever
do
done.
these things that you can't believe that they're getting away with it, which is something we wanted to pull into this show, I think. But so yeah, I was a huge fan of Caitlin. I was a huge fan of Sunny. Our showrunners, John and Dave Chernin, have been head writers over at Sunny for a long time.
They were head writers at Sunny? Okay.
Yeah, they've written some of your favorite episodes. I'm sure we can get into it later, but so it's a Sunny universe, and so I desperately wanted to be a part of it, but I've never done comedy before. I didn't think anybody would let me do this.
You're very good at it.
Thank you so much. I'm still terrified of it, but I just kind of went for it and went in and read opposite Caitlin, and I think a lot of people tried to like embrace her energy and bring that sweet D kind of manic, but she holds the territory for that, I think, across the board. So I tried to make Sabrina a little bit more grounded and a little bit different from her energy, and I think that worked really well for both of us. And it was just auditions are awful and make me want to die, and that one was so fun. And I thought if the show is anything like this, I'm in for a treat, and it was.
Where did you get the idea in the audition to sort of play opposite her energy rather than sort of try to play it up and be like what you've seen? Because that seems so opposed to most instincts.
I think that it was written that way. It's kind of, Sabrina was written as almost like the Jason Bateman to this Arrested Development. She was written as the kind of commentator on all of these people's debaucherous behavior. Mind you, she's terrible too. But, so I kind of picked up on that first, and then as soon as I walked in there, I just thought it's a losing game to try to keep up with Caitlin's energy. She just owns that space, you know?
Is she an improviser? Do you guys improvise at all?
Yeah, she's, whether we can improvise as well as her, yeah, I mean, not even close, but we try. And I just think she's so at home in this, like, especially with John and Dave, she has a history of with their words before, and she just knows how to take it and kind of turn it into something even better. And we're all kind of trying to play with that too.
So you get cast in this part,
Yes.
and you're super excited because it's an Always Sunny universe. Were you nervous going into it?
I'm nervous every day. I'm still nervous going to work every day. I just love these people, and I love what they do, and I love the kind of fearless energy that they bring to network comedy, which is a daunting task. And it's really not my playground. Like, I want it to be, and I'm really happy to be there now, but it's not where I'm from. It's not what people,
Right,
not that anybody knows me, but it's definitely not what the only people that know me for.
Well, I mean, you're what we would have also have seen you in last year was The Night Of, where that's a completely different role, albeit a dark one, but a different kind
They're
of
both
darkness.
awful people, but
both
for different reasons, yeah.
Are you? Is your role now playing awful people? Do you like?
I
playing
hope
awful
so.
people?
It's a way more fun. I don't know. Playing nice people does not seem very exciting to me. But yeah, they're both like dark, twisted women, and my character in The Night of is arguably way worse. But it's yeah, it's fun.
Can we go? Let's go back to the Mick in just a second. I loved The Night of, and I love
Thank you.
Stephen Zalian, and Richard Price is one of my favorite novelists and TV writers. How did you get that role? Were you aware of Price beforehand?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, if you're a fan of like New York writing, I mean, nobody writes New York dialogue better than Richard Price. And Steve Zalian, I think, is a genius and one of the greatest writers alive. And at the time, James Gandolfini was attached to play the lead and was an executive producer. And I mean, I grew up in northern New Jersey. Like, he's a god to me as a performer, and I just wanted his career, like everything about him. That whole project just had like gold, shiny things coming off of it for me.
Right. Any restaurant that you go into in northern New Jersey has a picture of James Gandolfini.
100%, as it should. And so I read it and thought the same thing that I think with this. The best parts of my career have always been things that I never think anybody will let me do, and The Night of was one of those things. She was written originally much older. I was like 20 when I first auditioned for that show. I think she was written as 29 maybe, or and 30. But I just didn't think in a million years I could do it. And I read for it, and I did one audition, and Steve cast me in it, and then we kind of got to play with the character a little bit and made her a little bit younger, and worked with Riz and did some rehearsals for that first hour.
And that first hour was shot, like you said, what,
4 years ago?
4 years ago,
Yeah.
and then unfortunately James Gandolfini passed away, and it got held up for a while, and then they went back and reshot the pilot, right?
We only reshot the end scene. So actually everything you see in the pilot is 4 years old until Totoro comes in, which has been reshot. But everything else is ancient history.
What was it like working with Riz? He's now a huge star, Riz Ahmed.
True, I know. I won't let it get to his head. He's incredible. He's one of the best actors I've ever worked with. When I first met him, we were talking about the scenes, we were talking about the characters, and I was like, in my head, I was like, I could have sworn Steve said this guy was British. He's definitely from Queens, like, and I grew up here, so the fact that I thought that he was from Queens is a testament to how good he is. Like, I can pick up bad New York actor accents very easily, and he was just in it. I mean, he's so focused, he's so prepared. I think it shows in all of his work. Four Lions is one of my favorite films, and you cannot recognize that actor to The Night of performance. I mean, so he was amazing, and we had so much fun. Because that first hour it was like a short film. It was kind of the two of us out on the town for the most part, and then he kind of went off and did the rest of it so much later.
The whole show feels like, I mean, I know everybody likes to say this about television dramas right now, that it's like, oh, it's like shooting a movie, and it's like, I'm gonna be honest, it's not really true. A lot of times the pilot feels like a short film maybe,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the show
Right.
feels like a TV show where you have very set stages and scenes that are gonna take place on the same stages
Correct.
all the time. There was something about The Night Of where Stephen Zalian was able to craft a visual language that was so specific to that show, where it did feel like a bit more like a film.
I think that it's so funny when people say, like, you can make a TV show now and it's just like a movie, but it's like, dude, we shoot an episode a week. It is not like a movie. Like a movie, you have way more time. You're flying by the seat of your pants. And when you were working with somebody like Steve Zalian, he has that thing where he can go to HBO and say, I need another 3 weeks of reshoots. And they're not gonna say no to him. So when you're talking about how it feels like a film, I think that's a huge part of it, is like working with people that can demand that and say, I need the time. If you want it to be really good, I need more time. And he got it, thank God, because I think it turned out really well. But
And now, what about this? Obviously, this is a different kind of TV show. You guys are shooting by the seat of your
we
pants
shoot
a
an
lot of the
episode
time.
a week, yeah.
But in terms of demanding more, I imagine there's a lot of conversations about the content of the show, considering it's much more of a dark comedy than you normally see on primetime television.
I think that I'm so grateful to Fox because they knew what they were getting into with this. It wasn't like these like up and coming writers and they didn't know their work and they kind of sold them on this thing, but Trojan Horse, it was really this dark comedy. They're working with guys that make Sunny. Like, they know what that comedy is like. They know what Caitlin's like. They love her. they wanted it to be dark and weird. That's why they took it. They wanted to go to a place they'd never gone before. This show could have very easily existed on FX or Netflix or Hulu and had no problem. I think part of the fun of it for us is trying to make it for a broader audience, but still keep that integrity of their very specific brand of comedy.
Well, for instance, the last episode that I watched was about sort of getting a man caught with a turd in a pool.
That's right, yeah. Which is like the kind of, we call that like our light episode because it's like poop in a pool, like it's hilarious and so childish and whatever. But then like, you know, we do an episode where we try to quit smoking and we think that this 8-year-old has an imaginary friend, and it turns out he's actually been hanging out with a homeless man in a treehouse for 2 weeks, and we don't know because we don't pay enough attention to him. Like, that's not something you'd normally see on a Fox Family comedy, you know? And I've been so impressed by them not shying away from that. I mean, yeah, we're trying to, I probably shouldn't say this, but there's one of my favorite montages that we've shot that hasn't aired yet has to do with the littlest kid and his inability to take care of pets. There are a lot of bunnies in this episode, and not many of them come out alive. And Fox was like, "We can't show a kid that's killing bunnies." Like, and yeah, we get that seems awful, but that's if it makes us laugh and it makes our guys laugh and it makes Caitlin laugh. We've been really fortunate enough that most of that stuff gets in.
Was the bunny stuff going to get in?
I hope so. If it doesn't, I'm going to be in big trouble for this one. I hope so. It's really funny.
There is a sort of growing school of comedians that find dark reality much funnier than I think sort of your standard
match the dark
poop in the
times.
pool jokes. I mean, I think of It's Always Sunny, Eastbound and Down, the guys that make Eastbound and Down and Vice Principals. They're much more interested in how drama can be funny and like the sort of dark places that human beings go.
So am I. I mean, I love Parks and Recreation as much as the next person. And I think there is something very special about those kind of happy comedies. And I think they're almost harder in a way, at least to make you laugh as much as they do. But I'm also very interested in this, and I'm very interested in like the darkest parts of these people and how they interact with each other. And how can you make that as hilarious as possible?
Was that something they knew about you going into the show? Did they ask what your interests were or if you liked dark comedy or anything like that to make sure that when you got on set,
Right.
you know, they knew that they had someone that would take the joke as far as it could go?
I think that we played with that in the audition a little bit. My audition scenes for the show were when Mickey drugs me in the pilot and when I see her again at the party. And I remember at the party, we improv'd a bit, and I was improvising about how she should find friends her own age and how she hasn't aged well, and I did a lot of stuff like that. And then in the drug scene, I mean, I went really druggy, and I think that they, within those 2 moments, were like, okay, like there's something a little bit off about this girl. I was definitely like not trying to keep it light. If we played around at all, I was trying to, maybe not even intentionally, but that's, I guess, where my sense of humor lies naturally. And it just kind of fit in with theirs. It's interesting because this is my first comedy and I'm learning all of this for the first time, but you do very quickly realize if somebody's comedic sensibilities line up with your own. It's very easy to find out if somebody will not think that the same bit is as funny as you will.
Or when they contribute something that's not on the same page.
Right.
And everybody who has the same comedic sensibility goes, how do we get this person out of the room?
Right, politely. And yeah, anytime somebody suggests that like, well, when are they gonna realize that they need each other? Or I really love when there's an outside enemy because they all band together. We're like, you don't get the show. And it's cool because you like it for other reasons, but like, we're not making the mix so that they can all walk off happily ever after at the end of the show. Like, I'm never gonna turn to Mickey and be like, you're my best friend, I'm so happy you're here. You know, it's just not that kind of comedy. So it's been interesting to see that as well. Like, people take it in different ways and they can kind of gloss over the dark stuff if they don't really want it. But the people that really get the show and really find it funny for the same reasons we find it funny know that that's never gonna happen and don't want it to, actively don't want it to. The same way you'd watch Eastbound and Down. Like, I never watched Eastbound and Down like hoping these people would like succeed in life.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's been interesting to watch that.
You, I mean, speaking of, we were talking about The Night Of and Richard Price being a great New York writer. You also worked with one of my favorite New York filmmakers, James Gray, on The
Oh, boy.
Immigrant. What was that like?
Oh God.
For those of you who haven't seen, The Immigrant is a film with Marianne Cotillard and Joaquin Phoenix from a few years ago. It's this somewhat low-budget film that recreates Ellis Island in the 1920s and 1910s in the most beautiful way possible. I don't know how he did it, considering the budget that I heard he had. It's a really incredible film.
He's also, it's so funny that you say it. He's also one of my favorite New York filmmakers and so underrated.
I would argue, the most underrated
100%.
filmmaker America has.
I completely agree with you. It's so weird to me. Anyway,
The Yards, We Own the Night.
Yeah, they're so good.
They're and they're gangster movies. Why don't people like them?
I don't get it. Let's start a blog about this.
Oh, I have one. Actually, go to it. No, sorry.
Okay, jamesgray.com. He does not approve of it.
And his new movie coming out in April. I've seen it. It's amazing.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Lost City of Z is it's his. No offense to The Immigrant and your work on it. It's his best film, and it's wild.
I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah.
So that movie, it's really interesting. You, as a young actor, or blah, 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 you don't get to say no to a lot of stuff, but you sometimes get these opportunities where you're like, I don't know, like working a day on a movie. But I feel the same way you do about him. And I was like, I can't say no to a day with James Gray. I have to get to know this guy. Originally, I auditioned for a different role in the film. I was too young to play that role. But he liked me, and we got along, and he liked my tape, and he was like, would you come in and do this thing? It's really small, but I'd love to see how you work, and I'd love for you to see how I work. And I was like, yeah, of course. And so I kind of just I walked around Ellis Island and watched James Gray film for a day, and I shot my scene in like 20 minutes, but stayed the whole night, and just kind of sat behind Video Village and watched him work.
You were at the Ellis Island shoot?
Yeah.
What was that? What was the
gorgeous.
recreation like?
It was just beautiful. I mean, it's so simple in a way. I did the remake of Ben-Hur, which is the opposite of that. It's this like outlandish, ridiculous.
Timur
Timur Ben-Medikov.
Sorry, yeah. I
Yeah,
can't do
that's
it.
all right. It's like oversaturated, overstylized. The sets are huge. It's like being in like a Roman Catholic's like mansion or whatever. Right. And then you go to James's sets and it's like dignified and simple and quiet, and it was just gorgeous. And the costumes, like everything about that set was just beautiful to look at. And if you love filmmaking, you like can't. I just don't think you say no to a day with him.
Darius Kanji, like shooting it.
Yeah. It was a dream. And that's, Rob Elswit shot The Night Of. Like I like watching those people work more than I like doing my own job. So like if somebody like that offers me something like that and says it's not really, I mean, I really didn't act I did one line basically, right? But I had such a nice time just watching him and watching all of them do their thing, and it was also at that time I was 19 or something, so it was the biggest set I had ever been on. And Marianne Cotillard, to watch her work for a day, I think she's incredible, and it was really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's open up to the audience for questions. Who has you have a microphone?
Hi.
Do you and the rest of the cast of The Meg spend time together off camera?
Well, we're a little bit different ages. Like me and the 8-year-old don't hang on the weekends. But Caitlin's got 2 kids at home. She's working on 2 television shows. Like, I don't know how she has time to do anything. So we hang out when we can, but mostly I'm just like, go be with your family and live your life.
Have you met Rob?
Yes, Rob is the sweetest guy in the world, and also just like a great partner for her, because he's like, this is your thing, you do your thing, and kind of lets her be the boss of this show and respects that. And they're awesome. They're a great team. And Thomas, Thomas will Snapchat me every single second of every day, like with emotional and physical abuse. So I stay away from him too, because he's 13 and he's a pain in the ass. But we all get along very, very, very well. It's a great group of people.
What about the woman that plays the maid on the
Carla?
show? She's amazing,
isn't she?
She's so funny.
She is. I remember Caitlin telling me, like, you came in and your energy, and I just knew it was going to work. Carla came in, and we were like, this is going to be better than we ever thought this character could be.
She'll steal the show.
100%. They've they've catered to her in ways that they never would have thought that character would have been catered to. Like, episodes have been built around how amazing Carla Jimenez is. She's so funny. And also just like the sweetest person in the world, and so excited to have a part like this that only depends on her being funny and nothing else. It's not about her being the maid. It's not about any of that shit. It's like, you are funny, and we're gonna make the character funnier for you because you deserve that.
Absolutely. Next question. Who's the microphone? You do.
Hi.
Hi.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier that you still get kind of nervous when you go on set.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how do you like handle that anxiety, or maybe how did you prepare to go into like a comedy role, which you said was sort of.
My mom is laughing behind you because I don't handle it well. Thanks, Mom. I think, first of all, it's like practice. It's like the more times you come out of it alive, the more times you go in knowing you're not gonna die. So, you're like, okay, I've done this a million times before. I've done this under worse circumstances before. I'm prepared. What's the worst like that kind of stuff. A huge part of it for me is the people I'm working with, because even now, after feeling like I've gotten over a lot of that, I go to some sets, I don't feel safe with my actors, and I shut down. On this show, I'm only nervous because I'm not sure if I can keep up with them. And that is just really telling yourself, like, you've done the homework, you're here for a reason, and remembering that it's fun is important, that I get to play every day for a living, and that's a joy, and being nervous is a waste of time. So it's a lot of that. It's like a lot of like pepping yourself up every morning.
What does not feeling safe with your other actors feel like? What does that look like?
I'm not going to use specific examples.
No, of course not.
But some people are really mean. And it feels like I went to the Esper studio and studied Meisner with like 20 of now my closest friends. And we would do scenes and we would mess up and we would laugh with each other. And failing was the best part of the day because it meant you were better tomorrow. When you're with actors that you don't feel safe with, it feels like if I fail, I'm not safe, and they're gonna be upset, and I'm gonna ruin the scene, and blah, 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 and you start to spiral out in a way. And it's really about like having a really good connection and communication with people, and you don't have to be best friends, because at the end of the day, you're coworkers, but I think you do have to respect each other. And it's hard as a young actor sometimes, because people aren't always that receptive to you. And I've learned a lot about like kind of putting up some boundaries and being like, okay, you're not going to be that kind to me, but I'm still going to treat you the way with respect, and hope that we can come out of it better than we went into it. But yeah, it's not always great.
I think we have time for one more question right here.
Hello, thank you for being here. So to piggyback on the previous question, what special advice would you give to current actors and actresses that's trying to make it to this business, like you said about how you trying to get along with the co-workers, things like that?
Yeah, my advice would be to go to get into a class and get into a place where you can fail all the time, because then failing here is way less scary, and also to keep a sense of humor about it. I think I in particular took everything so seriously for so long, and you have so little control in this business. You have very little control as an actor over how something will turn out. A filmmaker can ruin your incredible performance in 5 minutes, whatever. You have little control over what parts you get for a long time. And I think you have to like embrace that chaos and just kind of have fun with it, and accept that it's probably never gonna go the way you planned. You're probably not gonna get the parts you thought you would, but you might get this other thing that ended up being way more fun anyway. I think the levity is what I've discovered is the most important thing. And what my friends and I, it's like the way that we survive now is being able to laugh about all of this stuff, because most of it is so stupid. It is, honestly.
The Mick is on Tuesday nights on Fox. Congratulations on the show. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the night of. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.